Always remember, the opinion you follow should be your own. Just consider the things stated here to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online.
I got to talk. I got to tell what I feel. I got to talk about my life as I see it.
What is up, Mike?
Oh, Phil. Excited here for election 2024. Checking in here from Mexico. It's the official U.S. election Mexico headquarters, I guess we call it.
So, Mike, let's be more specific. It's Tuesday, election day. It is 3:00. So
it's 3:00 your time Pacific. It's 4:00 my time here in Baja, which is Mountain Time, and East Coast time right now. It is 6 p.m. I believe the first polls are starting to close right now.
Right. So as far as information and updates, we don't really have that many.
That's right. No updates yet. Other than, what we've, so if you guys are just tuning in, we're doing something a little bit different. We're trying it today, and maybe nobody listens, or maybe a lot of you listen. I don't know. Our plan that we had talked about last week was to go live right now. Again, we're going to be checking in you East Coast time at 9 p.m. And then we will be checking again East Coast time at midnight. Correct, Phil?
Yes, sir. 369 Pacific.
369 Pacific, exactly.
6912 East.
4710 here if you're in the Rocky Mountains. So, we're just giving you an alternative if you want to listen to Phil and I discuss what's happening as opposed to Brett Baer and Rachel Maddow. But
and nobody's in our pocket. Nobody's telling us to say this or say that. It's just two old farts giving our honest opinion off of the facts.
That's right. And if you didn't listen to our last week's podcast, you missed out, because it was a full 2 hours of, I think, some fascinating stuff. I got a lot of feedback over the weekend from different people that have listened to it. And I guess we apparently brought up some good points. I had a couple opposing views, opposing predictions come in from a couple people. I'm not going to mention names, but I got one particular email or direct message that was like, they are predicting that Harris is going to take 5 of the 7 battleground states, and we're going to know tonight what the what's going to happen, based on the fact that a couple people have brought this up, and maybe we could talk about this real briefly right now. As you know, Florida is one of the early states to close tonight. So it's actually, the polls are going to close here in Florida, I think in about an hour. I think they close at 7 Eastern time. And they have a tradition of getting returns back pretty quickly. So although it may not be a contested state, meaning that likely Trump is going to win in Florida, it may indicate what voter turnout is from different demographics, which might transpose onto other states. So that's been brought up a bunch of times. So something for us to look at.
Well, they have been reporting the demographics a little bit of what's coming in. And so far, women are up 20%, men are up 18%. And I forgot the other one. It was I had a stat I wanted to give you, Mike. I can't remember it now. But the bottom line, that the mail-in voting in certain parts of the country were up 300%, and the average across America was 50%.
Wow,
those are like crazy numbers.
That's big numbers.
Those are crazy numbers.
Yeah. So there's a lot. So
there's passion on both sides.
There's passion. Yeah, and that's what it sounds like. So the only polls that we got back was last night, New Hampshire, that one town up by the border, It came back tied 3-3. So if that's any indication of how close the election is, we're in deep trouble. You know,
I love Vermont.
I know. So let me. If you're tuned in now, you're listening to us on a 20-minute delay. Is that an accurate
That's
statement,
about
Phil?
right.
Yeah. So you are listening to us on a 20-minute display or a delay. I will put up a link to this podcast. What are we calling this? We're not even going to call this podcast. These are like mini pods.
Random Waypoints, election day coverage.
There you go. You heard it right from Phil. Random Waypoint election day coverage mini pod formula. So you can go and listen to it. And since this is our quote 6:00 Eastern update, the big one probably is our 9:00 one, which so if you're watching this right now in 3 hours or a little less than 3 hours, tune in and you can see what we're talking about for the 9:00 election update. Right?
Yeah, it's possible we may even know who the president is.
Your guess is as good as mine right now. So if you missed our podcast last week, go back. You can, while you're bored with the commercials that are coming on TV, and I'm glancing over at my screen right now because I've got the TV on in the background. By the way, Phil, who I know I'm all around, all over the place, which is what we do on this podcast. Who are you watching? I'll just tell you who I'm watching. I'm actually watching Steve Kornacki on the board on NBC. Because you always got on each one of these networks has I call him the guy standing by the board, right? I forget who the other guys are. I watch a little bit of all of them, but I find that he, believe it or not, even though it skews super left wing on MSNBC, I find him to be the least bullshit, I guess. Maybe that's the best way of saying it.
Yeah, they'll generally have like a person standing next to him asking questions about what he just said. And he seems to be like a straight shooter, at least about that part.
Exactly. So that's kind of who I've got on the screen behind me here. And whoops, and now it's starting to talk to me. So anyways, if you missed out on last week's podcast, Phil and I both came to a similar conclusion, maybe a different road to get there.
Mm-hmm.
But we both called the election for Donald Trump. We're going to see what happens. I mean, we could be both eating our shoes.
Well, it's funny you said that because I was just reading a article called "Whoever Wins, Half of Voters Will Be Surprised." And
That's right. That's right.
I agree with that. I believe that half of America is going to be shocked tonight. That's going to be part of the entertainment of watching the news later tonight, watching whoever the loser is just lose it.
That's right. That's what we're following most here on our Random Waypoints channel is watching reactions coming in from not only from the political people themselves, but the commentators and the anchors on the television. And hell, I'm sure we're going to hear from the celebrities and the billionaires and everybody else in between, right?
Mike, I was telling my wife that this weekend, I've been paying attention to elections since like 7th grade. And in all of these years, this is the busiest weekend for an election I have ever seen, and not even close. And what I mean busy, I mean as far as how busy the actual presidential candidates were, their surrogates, ads, people knocked on my door.
Yep. I get an update on a text on my phone, I swear, from Montana every couple hours, asking me my opinion on something, head out to the poll. It's been crazy.
So, it's cliche to say this is the most important election of your lifetime and you need to get out. But this is the first one where I feel like people sincerely took it to heart. And there might be some truth to it.
Yep. I agree with that. And let me give you a little bit of interesting perspective. It isn't just the people that are able to vote. I just went and picked up my laundry at the in downtown here in Todos Santos, and I walked into the laundromat, and what are they all sitting in the back listening and watching? They were all watching television of the American election. So the interest level here in Mexico is huge, with obviously different ramifications depending on who wins. Yeah, the border and everything else is a huge topic of discussion on both parties, for that matter. But even last night, I think it was last night or the night before, Trump in one of his stump things was talking about, if Mexico doesn't, start controlling the border, that he was going to put a tariff on everything imported into America. I mean, if you ask me, that's pie in the sky. I don't see that ever occurring. But that obviously that perks everybody's ears up down here, and the interest level is super high. I'm also in a campground where a lot of the people around here, or just in general, a lot of the tourists or non-locals are from Canada. So the Canadians have a huge interest in this as well. There's a watch party I heard going on down at one of the local bars tonight. All the Canadians were going down to watch the election on television. So this is an event. This is not just an American event. This is a worldwide event.
Yeah. You remember I told you I went to a debate party out in the woods? They're doing it again. If we weren't doing this all day, I would absolutely go this evening with them.
Yep. And there's a lot of apprehension and anxiety about this. I've got people I've been monitoring a little bit on social media. People are getting ready to, on one side you've got people excited about all sorts of different things for different reasons. Thinking that we're going to get America back, or we're going to make it great again, or we're going to have our first woman president, or we're going to, I mean, it runs the gamut of everything. And, unfortunately, here's my negative commentary. I would say 70% of the reasons why people are excited about today are really not even for the right reason, quite frankly. It's like, I think we've forgotten that this is an election. We're supposed to be choosing a leader of America, and it's not supposed to be about whether or not a person is, what sex they are, or whether they're, I don't know, all this other peripheral stuff that comes up. And that's too bad, because I think it overshadows, in the case, let's use that as an example. If Harris gets elected, I almost want to say, I know I'm going to get attacked for this, but I almost want to say I'm almost disappointed that she's the first woman. You know what I mean? Like, not meaning that I'm against a woman. God, I wish there was a better one. I just think the choices are not that good.
Mike, this is something else I was talking to with my wife. It would seem like women would feel that way more than us.
Mm-hmm.
If I was a woman, absolutely, I want a representation of me to be the leader at some point. I get that. But I want whoever gets in there to show, hey, see, we can do this. We're equivalent. We're just as good. But she'll ruin it for you. Just like I feel like President Barack Obama, he ruined it. She is the worst person to set a precedent for anything positive for a female. That's my opinion.
Well, but even
she slept her way to the top.
Oh God, here we
It's
go.
true.
See, right out of the door, right out of the door.
It's
Tune
true.
in and listen. Well, hold on, but forget about even a criticism of the actual person or the candidates. There's one of the, if she wins, the biggest reason she's going to win is the perception that they've avoided putting Satan back in the White House. And so it's getting in by default almost. And likewise, by the way, on the other side, let's look at the other side. I mean, there's some truth to the fact that there's a possibility that people could be voting for Trump and getting him into the White House because they don't want a woman or a black woman or something else like that, which is also
Absolutely.
bullshit. and totally irrelevant as well, and shouldn't be taken into consideration. But that's where we're working with, and I guess I want to just leave you with that. Like no matter who wins, I'm a little sad.
I agree with everything you said, Mike. Yeah, there's always going to be people who think that the sex or your origins or something peripheral is the reason for your superiority in something, whether it be the way you speak, being intelligent, athleticism, or whatever. It, it it's just no escaping it. Some people are
No.
going to naturally think and vote that way.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. So, anyways, that's where we're at, and
But
like
I
I
don't
said,
think I just want to say, out of all of the isms that we're discussing right now, I think the one where they're saying men won't vote for a woman is the least.
agreed.
If you had said that maybe 20 plus years ago, I'd be with the masses on that. But I see so many pussified men uh letting their wife run things. So no, I don't. Most men, there are so many men who have grown up in a single parent home.
Mhm.
There are so many men who report at work to a female. I just don't think it's as significant as people try to make it.
Yep.
I
And as
I absolutely agree it exists.
yep, yep. And I think I still I'm going to hold true to what I said last week. I think it's going to come down to tonight. We're going to watch the numbers. We're going to be looking at the demographics of who turns out. Is a younger crowd turning out, and if that is indeed the case, which way is it skewing, male or female? And are more females going to turn out? Are they going to turn out in? This is what I'm looking at in Florida. When Florida closes at 7 p.m., which is in like 40 minutes. What I'm looking at is, do women turn out in much larger percentage numbers than they did last time because of the Roe versus Wade thing? And if that's the case, I obviously think Trump will take Florida, but if he doesn't take it as significantly as he did last time, and we see an erosion there, then it could turn into a blowout for her by the end of the night. And contrary, if we don't see that, or there's a big percentage of women turning out, yet he's still getting significant numbers, then you could see a blowout going the other direction.
Well, my only thoughts are on a personal level is I have two family members who are overseas in the military. And from what the two candidates talk about and say what they'll do in the next 4 years, one is basically saying, "I'm going to put your child out there in war," and the other one is saying, "I don't want to have any wars at all."
Yep.
So
it's an issue. It's one of the issues.
I think that's an issue for a lot of people. A lot of people have a family member or they're in the military. I think that military vote is going to go strongly for Trump.
Yep, I would agree with that. It's just the big question, I guess, is when it comes down to it, is what are the top issues and which ones? Because that's what the polls, I don't think, pick up very well, is what issues are the biggest issues out there. We've heard all sorts of competing numbers, and then we got, over the weekend, I think that the poll comes out that, Trump is losing Iowa. It's an outlier kind of poll. Obviously, if that poll's right, she's going to win by a landslide. But, there's some substantial questions as to whether that poll is that indeed makes any sense. But I guess we're gonna find all this out. And
so Mike, I have a question for you.
Yeah,
we made all of those predictions a few days ago. Is there anything you want to go back on, or something already happened that's changing your mind, or are you sticking with everything you said?
I'm sticking with everything I said. The one thing I would tell you is, if I was totally being honest with you, I can see some in the last week, I have seen some Trump erosion. And you wouldn't think this would be the case, but I do really believe that some of it is eroding because, in my opinion, he has given the worst closing argument of any president in the history of mankind. His closing statements, the New York City Madison Square Garden thing, and then even after that, he was shit. He was campaigning last night to like I don't know. I went to bed at in my time at like 10 o'clock, and he was still in Michigan or somewhere talking. But his closing arguments have been awful. Like, he's been just attacking people. I think even Vance came out and said something about, Harris was garbage. I just, whoever is, in the bottom line is, this is a rhetorical question. I'm going to say whoever is consulting with him and advising his campaign, which I think every one of us know that it's him and nobody, and he doesn't listen to anybody. I think his closing, it almost looks like, in my opinion, it's been so bad, it almost looks like he's trying to lose. Like it just, contrary, she shifted. She went from constantly, the only thing she could ever say was, Trump this, Trump that, Trump this, Trump. And then the last couple of days, she'll talk about stuff and she doesn't even mention his name. And she's tried to do the whole, we're going to unite, we're going to bring everybody together, everybody's got a seat at the table, blah, blah, blah. So regardless of whether both of them are full of shit, which in my opinion, they are both full of shit, her full of shit sounds better. Right? I mean, that's the best way I can say it.
On a personal
level, do you
level,
have anything that you want to change about your prediction?
Nope. I'm still with mine.
Okay.
I'm still with mine. I just I don't see how she overcomes the economy. If she wins, that tells me the economy was not the number one issue.
Agreed, because I think it's a debate whether it's the economy or women's reproductive rights. Those are the two things I can see that are clashing as important issues.
I don't know a word to sum it all up, but I think another issue is parents and their children in general. Being able to regulate what drugs are going to my child, regulate. I should know everything about what goes on with my child while I'm in school. And if you are not aware, a majority of schools now have rules and regulations where kids can come in and talk about things and get decisions made and everything and totally usurp the parent. Yep. And if the parent tries to get involved, they could literally get into a legal situation. So I think there are other little small social issues that all add up to one big social issue. So I think that's a big thing. If I'm a parent, see, it's like a lot of the stuff they're talking about now, abortion don't affect me and my wife, nothing about the family, none of that stuff. But if you are a young person, you just starting a family, I think that their decisions on a lot of things are very important to you.
Yep. Yeah, I agreed. And I think that's what we just don't know. And I think that's why I'm going to harp on it again and tell you that it has to do with what demographics turn out. So like this election more than any other probably has more to do with who they can get to get off the couch, come down to the polling station and actually cast a vote. And I think that's what's going to make a difference here because each one of these issues is unique. Look at the swing states. Look at Michigan as an example. The war in Israel, Hamas, Hezbollah in Lebanon. Those things, because of the Islamic population in that part of the country, can sway it one direction or another. Same thing in Pennsylvania, where you potentially have a larger Jewish population. So, more than any other election, there are so many of these issues, but none of them really are going to do it unless those people actually turn up to vote. So it's really who shows up at the poll.
Hmm. And you mentioned Pennsylvania, which we both agree is going to be a pivotal state.
I think so.
And you also mentioned the large Jewish community. They have a Jewish governor who they didn't
Yep.
even consider
Right.
for vice president, and I think that was a big mistake. And also, same thing with the governor. The governor gave a really, really, really lukewarm endorsement of Kamala Harris.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I don't
Yeah.
know.
And by the way, you mentioned Pennsylvania. Not only did the government get or the governor give kind of a lukewarm, um, endorsement. Fetterman, who's in his own right a nutball, he has been fairly outspoken in his um, doubt of how strong the Democrats are in his own state. Like he's come out on a bunch of occasions said, "Don't underestimate Trump." He's seen, bigger turnouts in certain places than he expected for Trump. So it's an interesting pile of stuff that comes out of Pennsylvania. I think you're going to be able to see. So Pennsylvania is notorious about how they get back the results pretty slow. I remember last time people were waiting forever on Pennsylvania. However, I've heard by listening to some of the stuff I've been listening to online that Michigan has got their act together and is going to be getting results back fairly quickly. And typically, Michigan and Pennsylvania have very similar results. So it'd be interesting to see what occurs in Michigan, and if that is indeed what's going to happen. Because we all know that if Harris is going to win, she's pretty much got to hold her northern blue wall there. That has to happen for her to win.
Mike, something we haven't addressed. I'm shocked we haven't. Both of these people who are running and the people surrounding them are the type that no matter who wins, you could see a lot of legal battles for different electoral votes in different states. I could literally see us in court for the next
Mhm.
week or two.
Yep. Oh, yeah, maybe even more than that, for sure. I mean, and that
Because
was a
they
disappointment.
both play dirty ball when it comes to those type things.
Sure. And I was talking to a couple friends here, and one of the things that we mentioned was you saw on the news this morning they've extended the polling locations in both Pennsylvania and I believe Georgia in certain places due to software issues and a couple other problems. I think it was a bomb threat maybe in Georgia. But these are the things that, like, it's 2024. I mean, guys, did you not test this system? Like, I mean, really? Like, and then they wonder why there's this overwhelming, like, pessimist viewpoint on whether or not the election system potentially could be not fair or rigged or something happened. I mean, guys, come on. This isn't rocket science. So, that's some disappointment, because what that does is it starts up that big machine, right? Of, oh, I don't know, because, not everybody may look at all the articles, watch all the news programs, have gotten, a bunch of whatever. Maybe our IQ level of our overlander community here is higher. But as you know, there's people on the fringes that are only listening to a couple little sound bites. And so all they need to hear is something went wrong in this thing with the computerized ballot, and we had to do this and this and this. And then they immediately go, up, fraud. Right.
Well, that's easy to happen because I'm watching all of these programs now, and there's just no, I mean, everybody lies.
Yeah.
The guy will ask a question it'll be a trick question, and then the guy will lie when he answers the question, and then the person that they have rebutted, they tell a lie to rebut the lie. The lying has gotten really, really, really free flowing this election, like no other. I mean, everybody's comfortable just telling a lie.
And that's what we're going to talk about in about 2.5 hours from now on part 2 of Random Waypoints, because we want to let you guys go and listen to this and watch some TV.
All right, guys, we'll see you at 6:00. I think that was cool, but we didn't talk too much about today's election day. I think it's that has to be the topic.
Yeah, that's going to be the least amount of. This one is the least important one because.
Oh no, I'm fine with what we did, but I'm just saying for the next one.
Yeah, I agree.
In order for there to be continuity, we need to actually talk about today.
Yep.
But there's really, bro, I've been scanning all the news. There's nothing really. There's no news.
No, it's the same old shit. We're just looking at nothing.
And I'm hoping that at 6 o'clock, when we come back on, some stuff will be then finally popped up.
Yeah, so I was wrong, by the way, about our times, because when you and I come on at 6 Pacific, it's only 8. It's only 8 East. Because it's 2 hours now. It's not 3 hours anymore.
Why is that? Wait a minute. What are you talking about?
Oh, no. No, forget it. You're right. No, 6. Oh, shit. Now I'm fucking it up. No. Yeah, it's 9 o'clock. Yeah. No, it's only 2 hours for me.
You're an hour difference, so I get it.
Yeah. Oh boy, yeah.
So, I don't feel so bad when I send you the wrong time for stuff, and you be like, "Is it Central or Pacific?"
I'm just all screwed up because Mexico doesn't change times. Period. They don't have daylight savings time, so we're just always the same time here. You guys changed.
I had to put on a watch today that I haven't worn in a long time, and it's only because it has dual time.
Yeah.
So I don't have to think so hard.
What are you gonna do? You're gonna shoot this up right now?
Yep. Matter of fact, time is so much of the essence. Just say bye, Mike.
Okay, shoot it up, but then just hit me a text so I can put it on my Instagram and say it's up.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay.
You have been listening to Waypoint Overland's Random Waypoints. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.